Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second Canadian Computational Neuroscience Spotlight. I am your lead organizer, Scott Rich. If you guys could just let me know in the chat that you are seeing me and hearing me all right, just so I know I'm not speaking into the void. Wait momentarily here again. Just if you're seeing me and hearing me, just give me a thumbs up or something in the chat along the right hand side. Awesome. So yeah, welcome again. It's one of the weird things of this pandemic that we're all learning how to give talks into our computer. It never gets any easier, as I'm sure all the speakers that we have lined up today will attest to. But yeah, welcome to the second Canadian Computational Neuroscience Spotlight. I'm Scott Rich. You'll meet the rest of our organizing committee momentarily. So I wanted to take about 15 minutes before the program starts in earnest to give you guys a little bit of an introduction to the conference, who we are and why we're here, and also a bit of an outline of this Crowdcast platform that we'll be using today. So I am going to share my screen. And you guys should now all see my PowerPoint. Hopefully all is good here. So yeah. So again, well, as I've said about 4 times already, welcome to CCNS. The organizing committee, along with me, are Andrea Diaconescu, John Griffith, and Milad Lankarani, who you'll meet momentarily. And I'll mention our 4 session chairs, who have been doing a ton of the work here and have put together an amazing program for you all. Maurizio De Pita Itaiai, Carmen Knavier, and Bratislav Misek. So why did we create CCNS? For those of you who were at the first edition of this meeting know, the first edition of this meeting happened pretty soon after COVID-19 shut down academia as we know it, around this time last year. And there were 2 neuroscience seminars, symposia, conferences, whatever you want to call them, specifically geared towards the Canadian neuroscience community that were canceled in the sort of early wave. We decided that this sort of presented an opportunity to not only spotlight the computational neuroscience community in Canada, but to sort of create a meeting from scratch, from the ground up, to really exploit the uniqueness of the online virtual setting. Obviously, we all know there are drawbacks. We don't get to see each other for coffee and drinks at this meeting, but there are some benefits to doing this meeting online. And we wanted to create a conference that really could fully exploit those opportunities. One of the things that we did when we made this meeting is we tried to make a meeting that focused on trainees, which is something that all conferences could probably benefit from doing a little bit more. So how do we do this? Well, one of the benefits of the online setting is it's a lot more cost friendly, which allowed us to make this meeting free and open to all. So again, you can register for this conference for free, at any point in time. I'm sure we'll have some late registrants who will be joining us for just a talk or 2 throughout the day. Another really nice feature of Crowdcast is that these talks are available for replay indefinitely. So if you happen to take a lunch break and you miss a talk, you can replay it almost immediately after that talk finishes. When it comes to our trainee talks, there will be some parallel sessions. If there's a talk that you find interesting that you're just not able to attend, you'll be able to watch the replay of that session almost immediately afterwards to still get that experience. The other cool thing about Crowdcast is this nice Q&A feature. I'll go through that in more detail in a couple of minutes. But we think that this is a little bit of a nicer way to ask questions of speakers than just having a microphone in the middle of a room at a traditional conference, where it's sort of a bum rush to the mic and whoever gets there first gets to ask a question. Each session is also going to have a tutorial talk. These are geared specifically towards trainees, and the goal of this is to provide a very accessible introduction to a topic of interest in the topic that the session is on. So this will be a good way to sort of make sure that these talks are accessible, as much as possible to everyone, and everyone can gain at least something from things, even if it's not their particular field of expertise. We're also going to have panel sessions each day around lunchtime. It's at noon Eastern today and at 1 Eastern tomorrow. We have a fantastic group of our speakers who have volunteered an extra half hour of their time to participate in these panel sessions. And these sessions are going to be driven by your questions. This is a place to ask the speakers, if there's a particular topic that came up during the conference that you'd like to get people's thoughts on, that's a great time to ask it. This is also a time to ask a sort of a diverse group of speakers with wide ranges of expertise. We've made sure to have, speakers ranging from postdocs to early career researchers to more, traditional, longer term, more experienced researchers on each panel. The idea being, if you want to ask a question about the state of the field or tips about how to find a postdoc or find the right grad program or things like that, hopefully you'll be able to get a wide range of expertise and insight into that. And then finally, our trainee talks. We have 30 amazing trainees who will be giving short talks during the conference. And we found that we like these sort of short talk formats sort of work better in this virtual setting than virtual posters, at least in our humble opinions. So we hope that this format gives these trainees a bit more of a spotlight. So there are a couple of new things in this V2 of CCNS. We have a new, larger theme, bridging the spatial scales of computational neuroscience. What you'll find is that each of our session chairs have research that focuses on a different scale, ranging from the micro scale of modeling individual neurons or synapses at great detail, to the macro scale of large networks, of the whole brain. And we're hoping in this way to expose everyone to a wide range of neuroscience topics over the course of these 2 days. Each session, as I mentioned, has been organized by an invited chair outside the organizing committee. We wanted to make sure that this doesn't just become a meeting where it's our pet topics that get focused on. And we think that by inviting external chairs to drive these sessions, we're going to hopefully continue to expose everyone to the wide range of research that falls under the term computational neuroscience. And this is something that we're hoping to continue going into the future. And we're also very excited that our trainee talks are much more global this year. They represent not just the Canadian spotlight of our meeting, but also the global audience that we have. So we're very excited about that. So very quickly, just to give you a bit of a preview, our session chairs. Today we have sessions chaired by Dr. Maurizio De Pitta, who will be focusing on multi-scale modeling of synaptic function. This afternoon session is chaired by Dr. Itai Hai, who will be talking about computational modeling studies of neurons and microcircuits. Tomorrow morning, Dr. Carmen Canavier will chair a session on oscillatory mechanisms and networks of neurons. And tomorrow afternoon, Bratislav Misic will conclude the conference with a session on network neuroscience. I also just want to highlight how cool and humbling it is to get this global audience that we have. For those of you who were here last year, you remember this was something that we started with very humble ambitions, thinking this would just be a sort of Canada-focused conference. Spurred a lot by this online setting, we very naturally got this very global audience, which is sort of reflected by the registrations that we have here at CCNS. Obviously, there's a lot of people around Toronto, but you can look here. We have a bunch of people from South America. We have a huge European contingent. We have a huge South Asian contingent. Something that I find very humbling is that we have representation from every continent across the globe, which really goes to show the power of these virtual online meetings, but also the fact that the computational neuroscience community is extremely global and international. And that's something that we hope to continue to spotlight here at CCNS in the future. So again, the schedule I've walked you through. The panel discussions, I'll emphasize again, these are going to be driven by your questions. So if you have things that you would like to ask of our panel of experts, please keep them in mind. Please be ready to put that into the Q&A when these panel discussions begin. And then we have our 30 short talks from trainees. And I'll emphasize again, some of those talks will be in parallel sessions, but you can watch all of those sessions on replay literally mere minutes after they've concluded, so you can check out talks that you might not have been able to see live. So very quickly in these last 5 minutes, a quick how-to on Crowdcast. One of the cool features on Crowdcast is that anyone can come on stage with their video and their audio. So what'll happen is if you want to be on stage and you say you want to ask your question, personally or whatnot, you'll get an invitation that looks something like this left screen here. When you're invited on stage, you just have to click yes, let's go. Sometimes if you're having issues with that, I would, especially on a Mac, something we found last year is you may have to go into your privacy settings and make sure that your browser is allowed to record a screen. You can also test this at any time by going to crowdcast.io/setup. That's Crowdcast's sort of testing page to make sure those features are working right. So just to show you what this looks like, I am now going to invite up all of the members of the organizing committee so you can get to meet everybody. So as you see, once it takes a minute or so for this to get going, you have to click yes. But now we have John with his wonderful mustache that seems to have been, put in perfect shape for the meeting.
Absolutely, and it's been hiding behind a mask for many months, so that's why you haven't seen it recently, Scott.
Andrea is here. Milad screen is a little blurry for whatever reason, but he's here. Our first technical issue of the meeting. Probably won't be our last, but we'd rather it happen to us than anyone else. But you can see how smooth and easy that was to invite people on screen. This is something that you'll be seeing a lot of today through these meetings. And again, as the person in power, I have this cool ability to focus and unfocus people's screens. So this is something that you will be seeing throughout the meeting. And again, even if you're not presenting, if you ask a question that you would like to ask personally, you can mention that in your Q&A, and we can potentially invite you on screen to ask that of the speaker more personally. So I've now unceremoniously kicked off the organizing committee just so I can finish off the last couple of slides here, and we can start getting the next session set up. So the last couple of things from Crowdcast that you may want to know. So this is an old slide here. You can see what my hair looked like around this time last year in the very beginning of quarantine. I thought this was a nice little time capsule when I was going through making these slides. So I kept some self-deprecating humor in there of my sort of bear phase of pandemic. A lot of you have already been using this chat function on the right-hand side of the screen. This is a great way to interact while the talks are happening. If you have a very, a quick question about, oh, what does that acronym mean? What's that terminology mean? And you put that in the chat, oftentimes someone else in the chat will be able to answer that for you very quickly. If you have a question that you would like to be directed towards the speaker, use the Ask a Question button at the bottom of your screen, type in your question, and one of the cool features of Crowdcast is that throughout the talk, anyone will be able to go into that part of the talk and essentially upvote questions that they like. This is, akin to Reddit. So this way, it's very much a meritocracy of which questions get asked. The questions that the most people are interested in, based upon these upvotes, will be the first questions that we ask. So that's it. That's all for my introduction here. Oh, I guess I forgot to. You guys didn't see those slides, did you? So we are now seeing one of the few drawbacks of Crowdcast. I apologize for that. There we go. So let me just show you this really quickly. Again, I would much rather have these technical issues happen to me than happen to any of our speakers, so this is fine. So really quickly, this chat function, as I mentioned, on the right-hand side of your screen, use this for anything and everything you'd like to throughout the day. The Ask a Question feature is at the bottom of your screen. Use this to ask questions that you'd more like asked at the end and get a more in-depth answer from the speakers. And please go in and upvote questions that you might have that you want to have answered. So again, this is a true meritocracy, and the most pressing questions get answered. So there. Hopefully those slides showed well. I am now 1 minute over, so I'm going to we're going to move over to the next session. Maurizio is going to get set up, and then we will start going live with the beginning of Maurizio's session. I guess I have time for maybe 1 or 2 quick questions while that gets set up. If anyone has any questions for me about the conference, about Crowdcast, about how these next 2 days are going to work. So any questions from you all? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay, great. So I am now going to end this session. So this will sort of show you what these transitions will look like. What's going to happen is I'm going to end this session. Oh, John's asking how many attendees do we have? We have over 400 registrants right now, which we're very excited about, and we expect that number to rise throughout the day. Again, one of the benefits to these sort of free online meetings is people will definitely be registering throughout the day. We will give you guys a final tally at the end of tomorrow. We're hoping to beat our number of registrants from last year, which was around 450 by the end of day 2. So if you have friends who want to watch some good computational neuroscience over the next couple days, feel free to invite them. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this session. The next session is going to go live, and what should happen is you should be drawn into the next session. So yeah, I'm going to end this. We will go live, and we will see you in session 2, where Maurizio will begin the scientific talks in earnest. Bye, everyone.